All right, let's jump right in. We've all been there, right? Staring down a huge, messy business problem that just feels impossible. Well, in this explainer, we're going to walk through the entire journey, from that confusing, overwhelming feeling to a crystal clear, solvable question. It's all about a structured process that turns chaos into clarity, problems into proof.
And it almost always starts with a question just like this one. You know the type. It's vague, it's frustrating, and you've probably heard a version of it in a meeting this week. So this is it. This is the central mystery we're going to solve together. Think of it as our official case file for this journey. So to crack this case, we need the right tool. And that tool is business research. Now, I know what you're thinking, but don't let that term scare you off. This has nothing to do with dusty old books in a library. It's a super practical, organized way to make smart decisions and solve real problems. You know, like our unhappy customer problem.
Okay, so the very first step for any good detective is to look right past the symptom to find the real underlying cause of the problem. We have to sharpen our focus, moving from just a vague feeling of trouble to a question we can actually go out and investigate.
So, let's make this real with our example. After a little initial digging, maybe looking at some customer feedback forms or just talking to the support team, that fuzzy problem of unhappy customers suddenly gets a whole lot more specific. It turns out complaints are really spiking around long wait times at the IT help desk. See? Now we have a real lead to follow.
To dig even deeper and make sure we're not just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom, we can use a simple but incredibly powerful method called the 5 whys. Let's try it. First, why are wait times so long? Well, we're not resolving issues fast enough. Okay, but why is that? Turns out, we've basically hit our production capacity. Okay, so why have we hit our capacity? We just don't have enough developers on shift. And why is that? The answer is high staff turnover. We ask one last time, why is our turnover so high? And there it is. New hires feel like they don't get the right training and support. And just like that, with 5 simple questions, we've gone from a surface-level problem to a real, actionable root cause. And this right here is the magic trick. This is the most crucial transformation in the whole process. We started with this fluffy management goal. How do we improve the customer's waiting experience? I mean, what does that even mean? How do you measure that? But now, after our digging, we have a sharp, focused research question that we can actually go out and test. Seriously, getting this part right is everything, because a perfect answer to the wrong question, well, that's completely useless, isn't it?
Okay, so we've got our focused question. But before we rush off to start gathering evidence, we need a plan, a blueprint, if you will. This is what's going to guide every single step of our investigation and make sure we don't get lost in the weeds.
And this blueprint is really just made of 2 simple things. First, you've got the literature review, which is just a fancy way of saying, do your homework. What have other people already figured out about this topic? And second is the theoretical framework. This is basically your map of the problem, where you sketch out how you think all the important pieces are connected to each other.
Now, to draw that map, you need some building blocks. In the world of research, we call these variables. Just think of them as the key suspects or the main factors in our investigation. They're the things that can change or vary. You know, stuff like wait times, satisfaction levels, or the number of training hours someone gets.
Every good investigation has a central mystery, right? The one thing you're really trying to solve for. In research, that's called the dependent variable. It's the main outcome, the effect, that we think depends on all the other factors.
And for our help desk case, the big thing we're trying to explain, the core of the problem, is, of course, customer satisfaction. So if the dependent variable is the effect, then the independent variable is what we think is the cause. It's the factor we suspect is influencing our main outcome.
So in our investigation, what's our number 1 suspect for what's driving that customer satisfaction down? You got it, help desk wait times.
So now we have our map, we've identified our key variables, our suspected cause, and our effect. From here, we can finally form a clear, testable prediction. And this isn't just a shot in the dark, it's an educated guess based on everything we've uncovered so far.
And that educated guess has a name, a hypothesis. The 2 words you really want to lock in on here are tentative and testable. It's our proposed explanation for what's going on, but it's framed in a way that we can actually go out and prove or disprove with real data.
The way researchers test this is kind of cool. They set up a fight between 2 competing ideas. First, you have the null hypothesis. Think of it as the boring default position that nothing is going on. It basically says, nope, wait times have no effect on satisfaction. Our job is to try and prove it wrong. Then you have the alternative hypothesis, which is our actual theory. It's what we think is happening. Longer wait times do decrease customer satisfaction. The whole game is to gather enough evidence to knock out the null hypothesis and say, aha, the alternative is the winner.
All right, this is where it all gets real. We've got a testable hypothesis, but concepts like satisfaction are kind of abstract, right? So how do you actually measure a feeling? This final step is all about turning those fuzzy ideas into cold, hard data we can work with.
Now, the process for doing this has a really big, fancy name: operationalization. But the idea behind it is actually super simple. It's just how we create a real-world ruler for something you can't touch. We're defining exactly, step by step, how we are going to observe and measure our variables.
Let's look at how this works for satisfaction. The conceptual definition is the idea itself, the customer's feeling of contentment. That's a great place to start, but you can't exactly put a feeling into a spreadsheet. So we create an operational definition, a concrete, measurable action. In this case, we'll ask customers to rate their satisfaction on a 5-point scale after their call. And just like that, an abstract feeling becomes a number we can actually analyze.
But here's a super important detail. Not all numbers are the same. The way you choose to measure something is absolutely critical because it determines what kind of analysis you can do with it later. If you get this wrong, you might find out you can't even answer your original question. There are 4 basic levels you need to know.
Okay, let's quickly run through these using our help desk survey as an example. First up is nominal. This is the easy one. It's just names or labels. Think sales, tech, billing. There's no order, they're just categories. Next, we have ordinal. This one has an order, like the sad, neutral, and happy faces. We know happy is better than sad, but we don't know how much better. Then there's interval. This is like your classic 1 to 5 satisfaction scale. The distance between 1 and 2 is the same as between 4 and 5. The only catch is there's no true zero. And finally, the most powerful one, ratio. This has a true zero. Our minutes on hold question is a perfect example. 0 minutes on hold means exactly that, 0 wait time.
And last but not least, whatever ruler we create, it has to pass 2 really important tests. First, is it reliable? Meaning, is it consistent? And second, is it valid? Meaning, is it even accurate? The best way to think about this is with a bathroom scale. Imagine a scale that says you weigh 5 pounds every single morning. That scale is incredibly reliable. It gives you the same result every time, but it's completely invalid, right? It's not measuring your actual weight. For our research to mean anything, our measurements have to be both reliable and valid. You need both.
So just take a second and think about how far we've come. We started with that messy, vague problem of unhappy customers. From there, we managed to sharpen it into a focused research question. We built a clear blueprint with our variables, we formed a hypothesis we can actually test, and we even figured out how to measure abstract ideas. We literally turned organizational chaos into a clear, methodical plan for finding real answers.
And that, really, is the whole point. This isn't just some academic exercise. It's a powerful way of thinking, a framework you can apply to pretty much any challenge you're facing. Every big problem, every nagging frustration at work, it's really just a research question in disguise, waiting for you to uncover it. So the only question left is, what are you going to investigate next?